Since lockdown has made a lot of people feel either a little bit crazy or creative, or maybe a little bit of both, I'm going to assume that you right now who are watching this also spend a lot of time on YouTube watching your favorite creator create things. And at some point, maybe you've even thought, you know what? I'd love to be able to do that. Me too. As a matter of fact, I've been saying that for the last several years. And the next thing that I did was nothing. But we'll get back to that in a second. Like many of you, I've always wanted to create content online and, just follow the footsteps of my favorite creators. We have a lot of reasons for doing that. It could be for maybe success or fame. For me, it was mostly about scratching that creative itch. And so for several years, I actually sat there in front of the screen just watching my favorite creators create something and grow. And, me just like saying, I can do that. I can do that as well. As a matter of fact, I think I can do even better. I'm not saying I did. I just felt that I could. So what did I do? I actually just didn't do anything. Eventually, I found myself saying something like, maybe I'll wait for the perfect time. Maybe when I'm not so busy anymore. Or maybe when the perfect opportunity arrives. After several more years of watching and waiting, that turned into something like, I should have started back then. Think of how much growth I could have achieved by now. And then, after even more time, it turned into something like, the market's saturated already. No one wants to see the same thing. That guy beat me to it. I was going to do that, but he beat me to it. So let me ask you this. If I were sitting right in front of you right now, telling you my sob story, what would be the advice that you would give me? Yep, I'd probably say the same thing too. Just start. Now, as easy as that may sound, it's actually probably the hardest part. Now, we all have our own various reasons as to why we can't start. For me personally, I was just afraid. I think it's just normal for people to feel that way. Anything that you don't know much about is scary. Your first day at school, your first day at a new job, the first time you went to the dentist, or maybe the first time you put your head in the lion's mouth. Okay, maybe not that one. Those were all scary. And no matter how much information we try to give ourselves by reading, watching videos, or even maybe talking to friends who have gone through something similar, just doesn't completely eliminate that fear. And that fear, to me personally, is what kept me from actually starting. So maybe you are also thinking one of the reasons that's stopping you from actually starting is because you're afraid to make mistakes. Whether you're a beginner, you're an expert, nobody wants to make mistakes. But let me share with you something that someone once told me that made looking at mistakes a lot easier. And that is, all you're doing is you're gathering free data. And what do I mean by that? So when you're starting something new, or starting something that's just very terrifying for you, what you're actually doing is gathering data. And that data is what you use to move forward. So if you do something and you make a mistake, that's okay. That's free data. Now you know what to avoid, or maybe even what to improve. If you did something well, that's also free data. So now you know what to keep doing. And so you do these things over and over again, little by little. Suddenly, the unknown isn't as scary anymore. So I mentioned in the beginning of this video that I basically sat on my butt watching all these creators grow. And that put me in a very terrible place because I started to come up with all these convenient excuses. I kept saying, maybe now's not the right time, or I'll wait for the perfect time. And I call them convenient excuses because they basically fit the narrative as to why I was where I was, which is basically the exact same place I've been in for the last several years. So you might be wondering right now, how the heck did I end up where I am right now? Basically creating content full time. If I just said, like literally just said that I didn't do anything Well, things changed a couple of years ago when I got laid off. As a matter of fact, I got laid off 3 times in my career already. And every single time that happened, it put me in a very uncomfortable situation. But the funny thing is that every time I was in a very uncomfortable situation, I found myself emerging in a better situation. And I'm not just talking about better than when I was not working or when I was laid off. I'm talking about better than before I got laid off. Basically, it's almost like I was reaching another level in my career every single time I was put in a very uncomfortable situation. So if there's anything that I've learned, it's that the harder I try to seek a comfortable situation where I'm just like, yeah, this is okay. I'll just sit here, wait for the perfect situation. I'm comfy. I'm okay. That's probably the worst place that I can be in, because that's the fastest way for me to kill my dreams. Because I just sit there, do nothing, and wonder what happened, wonder where I could be by now if I just started. So if you got this far in the video, thank you. And if you feel that you are in a somewhat similar situation, just remember that the only reason it's scary to start is because you don't know. If you don't know anything, obviously it's scary. But if you do something, just a little bit of that one thing that you don't know, then it's a little bit less scary. And not only that, you get better. The more you do it, you just get better. And you keep doing that thing little by little every day, maybe even once a week, once a month. It doesn't matter. As long as you start doing that, it's just the natural progression of things. You just get better. And once you get better, you'll realize that it's not that scary anymore. At least now, you don't have to keep wondering, just like me, what would have happened if I just started back then. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next video. I can't record because my wife keeps opening and closing the garage door.